Thank you so much, Pavis, for having me for this session. I know we all have been going through quite a lot of tough times or like tricky situations, a lot of introspection as to what exactly are we doing with our lives, what has happened to us, how do we deal with it. No government agency, no single individual, large corporation, or any
Right.
developed country can currently give us any answer to what's going to be
Yeah.
the future course of action uh, with the things around us. So, in this situation, the topic which you gave me was quite interesting. Um Coincidentally, I have quite a lot of experience in both the fields. So I don't know how you decided to choose that, especially the skill development. But do you kind of want me to give a quick introduction about my journey and what have I done, followed by my thoughts? Like
I think that
what
would
do you
be
think?
well, yeah, then that would be helpful for our attendees as well because considering that, then they can also ask more relevant questions later in the session. So yes, you can start from there and then take it on.
All right. So hi guys, my name is Yatin Thakur. I'm currently the chair of Gen Asia, which is a part of Global Entrepreneurship Network. We are the largest network of entrepreneurs and entrepreneurship ecosystem enablers and builders around the world. If you have heard about the Global Entrepreneurship Summit or Global Entrepreneurship Week or the Global Entrepreneurship Congress, they all are a part of my organization, the organization which I represent. In 2016, I was fortunate to be appointed as the managing director to lead the operations for Gen India. That was the same time when President Obama announced that GES, the Global Entrepreneurship Summit, would be coming to India in 2017 under the leadership of our Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And then 2016 is also the time when we saw the shift in governments in the US. So this initiative was taken up by the Trump administration, and finally Ivanka Trump came to attend it in India. So I've been a part of this organization for about 4 years. But prior to this, I've been an entrepreneur for 17 years now. I started my journey at the age of 16 into the digital space. This was back in 2003 when internet wasn't as open as it is now. Smartphones hadn't entered. The smartphones which existed in our lives were the Nokia Series 60 phones, which was Nokia's new innovation to build a completely new operating system, which would allow you to receive emails and do some multimedia activities on your phone. That's the time when I was still a high school kid, and I thought this is going to be the future. I think all entertainment will at some point of time move onto these phones. So would be our learning. So would be access to information. That inquisitive entrepreneurship, entrepreneur insect inside me instigated me to explore this area more actively. And eventually I launched a company in the digital media space, which supplied digital media content, primarily entertainment content, to mobile carriers and media publishers across India. So that was my first venture. From there on, I did a lot of other things. I explored my hands on many, many ventures. Um, but in the year 2008, 2009, I launched a company which was purely focused on skill development. Um the idea behind this company was to support our future leaders, which is primarily you guys, the young generation who fell below the age of 23, 24, to get started with their career path, with their career journey right from their colleges. That was the intent with which I launched that company back in 2008. But unfortunately, it was also the recession year. I kind of failed in my first methodology, which was to support college students. However, I succeeded in building skill development academies in public-private partnerships across different states of India, focused towards blue-collar jobs, primarily the security workforce in India. And this was instigated by the 26/11 attacks, which took place in Bombay. Um, so post that, I did try a bunch of things, but in the year 2011, I finally got familiarized by the concept of co-working spaces. I already had about 8 years of work experience, and I had built several ventures. From few I managed to exit, with few I also turned bankrupt. Uh, but I thought, like once an entrepreneur, always an entrepreneur. So you've got to you got to keep the spirit up, and you got to explore new things. 2011-12 was also the time when I realized that okay, I've built a fabulous network. I have dealt with various kinds of people across the country, across leaderships, and I have got experience in setting up new ventures. Why don't I utilize my knowledge, my experience, and my network to support other aspiring entrepreneurs to get started? And that's the time when I finally got familiarized by this Seattle-based organization called Startup Weekend. I don't know how many of you have attended those, but that was the turning point of my life. Uh, till 2012, I would be building one venture at a time. At the max, I'll try my hands on second business line. But as startup weekends came into my life, I was building like 15 ventures every weekend, and that's what continued in my life till end of 2015. Uh, so time passed, journey passed. I launched various incubation programs. I launched various brands. I supported tons of entrepreneurs across the country, and I also managed to scale my co-working spaces. At present, I run CoworkIn, which is the most affordable and the oldest co-working space chain in India. We are primarily in Delhi NCR region with about 8 centers, completely bootstrapped, self-funded organization, profitable without any external investment. I run Global Entrepreneurship Network India as a not-for-profit foundation to support the entrepreneurship ecosystem. And through that, I work very closely with government agencies, both at the center and the state level, uh, to support them in formalizing new policies and new initiatives to make an easier entrepreneurial journey for you guys. And finally, I run an incubator by the name of Startup India Advisory Services, which is a private initiative uh, to support entrepreneurs right from their ideation stage till their go-to-market strategy. So, providing them mentorship, investment support, talent acquisition, and market access is what we do under that. So that's a bit about me, what I've been doing. Uh, I'll talk more about what do I see presently in this in 2020 and the way forward from here. So as a lot of people are saying, um, I think we are almost approaching the 2020 BC stage, which is before Corona, and now we'll reach once the lockdown is over, it's going to be 2020 AC. Uh, so we all know how BC looked like. Uh, Being a part of this whole entrepreneurial ecosystem, I think it was more about meeting people, attending conferences, brainstorming on a lot of things, collaborative working, a lot of heavy socializing almost on a daily basis, a lot of travel around the world almost on a monthly basis, and a lot of inflation, a lot of large ideas, bubbles, investments is what we saw in the stage BC. I feel as we approach AC in these last 23, 24 days, which will go up to 40 days of lockdown, I think a lot would change in our lives. How we look at things is completely changing. The biggest and foremost thing which I see happening now is the digital transformation. Whatever we used to do back in 2003, 2004 is becoming a reality. Back then, when we used to generate entertainment content, there were hardly any takers. We used to sell games on cell phones, there were hardly any users. Even if we managed to get 2,000, 3,000 users, going up to about 5,000 users, that was considered to be a success. Today, I think the way gaming industry has changed is phenomenal. I myself, I'm hooked on to playing Ludo all the time with my friends, and how a bunch of these Ludo apps have been taking up our lives is very crazy. The content has become very richer because primarily the hardware has become much more advanced. Uh, so consumption for content is going to be increasing. If it was about entertainment, and it was about going and watching movies in a movie hall, I'm sure that's going to change drastically. Your support would be back to Netflix. Your support would be your intent would be to put better home theaters or better multimedia solutions just at your place and consume all of that or entertainment content at home. We are getting to see that. We are getting to see how Netflix, Amazon, and even all other smaller players, even Hotstar for that matter, is producing some phenomenal content. How learning is moving online. I think the biggest focus is on edtech now. Edtech has been waiting for this moment for the longest time, right from your primary school going up till your master's degree. Almost everything has already moved online, and schools, universities, and governments are realizing that's the better way to teach people than running physical classrooms. Um, the way we talk, the way we meet, the way we learn and educate ourselves is completely changing. Today, what Powers has organized is definitely the first milestone of that, where everything is moving online. Everyone can talk to each other just sitting at home. So your movement will definitely be restricted, and uh, that requires a new set of skills, a new set of uh, a new set of do you, that requires a new set of skill set in you. Your ideas, your methodology, your techniques, how you run a business, everything is going to change. Technology will play a key role. Things will become more efficient. You will figure out ways to transact, trade, and service people sitting from your one respective space. It's not necessary that it has to be your home. It can be any space, but definitely the movement will be restricted. You would want to stay at one place and not venture out a lot. Uh, and hence, I think it's very, very important for each of you to acquire digital skill set, be it in form of learning how to brand yourself, market your products, sell your products, handle the supply chain, figure out the financial aspects of it, and finally figure out your growth plans and grow up your team or scale up your businesses. So, Pawas, that's I think I've covered quite a lot of that. Do you want me to take any questions, or do you want me to do any deep dive into anything specific?
I think skill development, a bit more on skill development scenario in India would be important, because we also have a we are also going to run a poll where people think, and I think I can ask the same question to you. Do you think the skill development, I mean, the entire scene and the efforts towards skill development in India are sufficient, or are they reaching to the last man standing already, or what more is to be done in that area specifically? If you could talk a bit about that.
See, it's a very, very interesting area, I would say, when we talk about skill development. Back in the days when I launched my company in 2009 in security training space, we realized there were about 7.7 million security guards who used to man our houses or our offices or our hotels or our like any formal establishment uh, across the country. That was a great number, and this base at that point of time was growing almost at 12% per annum. Um, it's almost 11 years back, so I'm assuming this base would have definitely reached close to 20 million, if not more, by now. Similarly, we have seen as tech has advanced in our lives, and by tech I mean the way we use hardware, the way you use computers, the way usage of air conditioning has increased, um, the way we want to maintain our cars, uh, figure out grooming services. Everything is changing, and everything requires a good skill set of people. So this blue collar workforce, which was primarily involved, uh, they are also considered self-employed people, because we have all seen electricians, plumbers, any other technicians coming to our place, and they would be running a small practice. They all need to be skilled to be able to function, repair, and support us with our hardware and our gadgets.